Are you one of those Christian leaders and kingdom entrepreneurs that you would like to hire your first virtual assistant, but you don't know where to get started or what you should be looking for? Well, then this episode is for you. Today, my guest, Angee Robertson, we're going to talk about 5 things that you should do before you hire your virtual assistant, and also avoid some common mistakes that when you work with a virtual assistant. It's all coming up for you in this episode. Hi, Katie Butler here. If this is the first time we met each other, I mentor Christian entrepreneurs and kingdom leaders, service providers with proven action steps to grow and scale their business elegantly. This channel is all about helping you to do that. So I would like to hit the bell button and subscribe to this channel. Then you will not miss another video like this. Angee, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm glad to be here.
You know, moments ago, we just talked about our hair, you see? I mean, just look at your hair, how beautiful Rich is. And my hair today is that all direction. What do you do? Real life, people, real life. So now, yes, we want to talk about this. Is Angee is such an expert when it comes to operation for your business. Actually, she even done a fantastic training for my clients inside the Power One framework program, talk about SOP and all that. So in the introduction, you guys already know how awesome she is, but we always love to hear from, the master herself. So Angee, please share with us a little bit about your journey, how you arrived here.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was in my early 20s and really just felt I was working in corporate jobs, various jobs, admin jobs, and felt very stifled and like I wasn't really able to express who I was, much less knew who I was at that time. And just kind of went on this journey to figure out what is it that, God was calling me to, what was he wanting me to do? And I ended up going to college. I went later. I didn't go right out of high school like most people do. I ended up going a little bit later, and went to a community college first and was taking classes there and loved the whole community aspect and loved the people. I ended up getting a job at the college and loved working there, really enjoyed it. And it was time for me to graduate and either continue on with my degree or start a career. And I just wasn't quite sure exactly what it was that I wanted to do. And it was the time when Oprah was really getting into this live your best life thing. And she was doing all the shows and having all these life coaches on. And life coaching was a really new kind of profession that wasn't so much new, it was just really getting pronounced. And at the time before there was Facebook, there were like discussion boards. So I'm really dating myself here, but but there was discussion boards. And so you would go into these chat rooms and you would chat with people, and she had her own. And there happened to be a life coach in there, and she was starting to talk about, your purpose and do you know what you want to do when you grow up kind of thing. And she was looking for clients on a pro bono basis because she was just getting started with her practice and she wanted some clients to practice with, basically. So I reached out to her and we started working together, and she started to, kind of help me decipher what path did I want to go on? Did I want to go down, back to school? Did I want to start a career? What did I want to do? And oddly enough, it wasn't anything that she did coaching. It was her newsletter that she sent out. And there was an ad in the newsletter for a virtual assistant school. And I was like, a virtual assistant school? What is that? And so I immediately went to the site. I devoured it and started spending hours and hours just diving into the site. There was just so much great information and learning about what this industry was and what do virtual assistants do. And you mean I'd be my own boss? I could have my own business. And that was really what was calling to me. And so I ended up enrolling in the school and took the program and graduated. And that was almost 20 years ago. And I graduated in December of that year. And then the following May, my husband and I went to him and I said, look, I either need to do this full time or I just need to stay in a job, but I can't do both. I gotta, I gotta do one or the other. And he was like, well, I believe in you. I think you can do this. Let's just go ahead and set a date for you to quit your job. So we decided May 31st would be my last day. So I had to give a 2 weeks notice. So 2 weeks prior to May 31st, I was getting ready to go into my boss's office, and I got a phone call from my husband, and he goes, I just got laid off from work. And I went, oh, what did we do? And he was like, you know what, though? I feel peaceful about it. I feel like God still wants you to do this and pursue this. So don't change anything that we've already planned. Just do it. And so I went in, put in my 2 weeks notice, and started my practice. We ended up, I started my practice probably June, like kind of officially in June. And I haven't looked back since. And in fact, my husband ended up finding some like temporary work and just doing some like contract labor and stuff. And then that ran out and my business started to take off. And so I needed help. And he said, well, I said, why don't you just come work with me right now until you figure out what you want to do? And that was, 17 years for him. So he's been working with me for 17 years. So we both do this business. So we have our virtual assistant company. And then, of course, we've launched a school now to train virtual assistants. We launched that last year. So, yeah, that's that's the short nutshell of the journey. There's been lots of ebbs and flows along the way, but that's how I got started.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of interesting story in between. But talking about God's goodness, and thank you for being obedient. And so now we have that story to tell. I mean, now listen to your story is awesome, but I'm sure the struggling in between, right? That moment inside your heart and mind. I think there's a process there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, what's been fascinating to me is when I was so naive when I started this business. I was so naive. I just didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what it was like to be an entrepreneur. I didn't have neither of my parents were entrepreneurs. I just didn't know what I didn't know. So I kind of went into it blindly with just knowing that if this is where God was calling me, then I'm just going to go for it and it'll work. If that's what he's calling me to do, it's going to work. And so I went in with that level of faith, and it clearly it worked. That's the path. But when we started this VA school, very different process, because then I found myself second guessing myself. Is this really what God wants me to do? All the things that kind of trip up an entrepreneur were tripping me up. And I'm going, but I've run a successful business for the last 19 years. Why is this so much harder to do? And it was a process. It was just another, I guess now I'm more aware, and it was a bigger risk than it was back then. Back then, it didn't take much to replace my income. Let's just put it that way. So any little bit that I made, I by the end of the first year of business, I was already making what I had made in a corporate job. Again, it wasn't much. And plus I was in my 20s. We didn't need a whole lot then. But I guess the leap was different this time, because now it was like, oh my gosh, this is what my husband and I do. And now we're going to venture off into this other area. And what is that going to be like? And will that jeopardize anything? And the risks were much greater. So it was quite interesting to see how that played out and the dynamics of that.
I'm so glad you say that, because, for a lot of new entrepreneurs, and especially for Christians who talk about, step out faith and do what God calls and stuff like that. I think some people, when they look at, people like us a little bit, ahead of a journey, and then they will say, oh, you guys are good, right? Because you guys already have everything figured out. You guys already have the revenue. And so you guys don't have any challenge anymore, right? Yeah. But it's not true. Just like Angee say, the further you grow, the risk level also grow higher. Isn't they say that spiritually speaking, they say new level, new devil, that type of thing.
Yes.
Right? It's for me, it's like the higher we go, let's just say, I don't know. Don't you guys just love that sometimes people say, oh, join this program, XYZ day, you get to a 6-figure range or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, number, not even the point. The point is the business owner ourselves, we need to grow to get ready, able to take the responsibility of whatever the 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure, right?
Yeah, totally.
Different level is very different responsibility. Totally. But now we got kind of change a little bit direction of a conversation, because, well, kind of the same. It's like, as we know that if we want to grow our business, we cannot like forever just like a one person show, right? We just only have 24 hours and limited mental bandwidth and all that. So many business, they start the first one probably is a virtual assistant, hire someone first to able to hand over some task, so they have a little bit more margin to do what they are called to do. So Angee, can you kind of share with us that what are the things that we should do before we hire our first virtual assistant?
Absolutely. Yes. I see this throughout the years. I have seen so many potential clients come to me and they struggle. They either get to a place where they're doing it because they think they should do it, or somebody's told them to do it, or they've gotten to a place of, oh my gosh, I'm in a panic, I need help. And inevitably, either of those situations are never good. You want to try as much as possible to prepare ahead of time. It just makes the relationship much richer. It makes it better. It gives you some flexibility and breathing room because you're building a relationship. That's what I teach. That's the way I practice, is I build a relationship with my clients. First and foremost, that's the most important to me. Tasks and everything aside, I have to build a relationship because this is almost like a marriage. I mean, it's a business marriage, if you will. I'm there to support my clients in what they're doing and execute what they're doing. And if the relationship's not strong, it's not going to work. And so that's the first and foremost, is you want to build that relationship. And so when you're in a panic, it can really mess that up. But one of the first things I see is a lot of entrepreneurs don't have a clear direction of their business. And what I mean by that is that they either don't know what they're going to be offering in their business. They don't know who their market is, what they're going to be offering. They don't have like a specific way that they're going to capture leads into their business. When you don't have those things, when you don't have like your goals, like what are you going to be doing in the quarter or 6 months or a year, it's hard for you if you don't know where you're going. It's hard for you to lead and give direction to somebody else to follow along with you. So it's really important to really understand, what is the direction of your business? Where are you going with your business? Another thing to think about too is, do you want a big business or do you want a boutique business? I have a lot of clients. I have one client now that, she wants to keep things very boutique. She does a training, but she limits it to, 25 people. It's very one-on-one with her. It's very individual. There's an application process. That's the way she wants. She doesn't want to just have hundreds of people come through. I mean, over time we have, but for the actual course itself, she wants it to be intimate. That's her style. Then I have another client where we want to blow the lid off this thing and get as many people in as we can and reach as many people as we can. So where do you stand? Do you want a boutique? Do you want to be a large company? What does it look like for you? Do you want to eventually sell your business, or do you want to keep it? Is it something that will just die with you? Is it something that you want to leave a legacy for? Is it something that, you build it to a certain point, you sell it off, you hand it over, you bring somebody up? Like for me, for the school, the Kingdom Virtual Assistant School, I eventually want to train teachers, students that have gone through the program, have graduated, have successfully started their business, to invite them to come back in to become a teacher so that they can start to lead classes, so that eventually when I'm gone, this continues on and God's work continues on. So what do you want for your business? Do you want to leave a legacy, or is it just going to be kind of, I work with people while I'm here and I'm done, which is, neither one is wrong or right. So that's something to think about whenever you're thinking of your business. What direction are you going in? Another area I see is have a thorough understanding of what it takes to run your business. So this is another area. It never fails. I'll get on a call with a client, and they're like, I am so overwhelmed. I'm so burnt out. I don't know. I just don't have time for anything, and I need help. And I'm like, okay, well, let's peel back that, peel the onion here, and let's see what does that mean? What does it look like? What do you need help with? I don't know. I just need some help. Okay, that's so vague. I need some help here. So it's really helpful if you know what it takes to run your business, and you should know what it takes. I am an advocate for, you should know how your business operates. Even if even if you aren't going to be doing it, you need to know, because that way, if something happens, things don't fall through the cracks, and you're always aware, and you're an informed owner of your business, and you know what's happening. I have a client. I'm sorry, not a client. It was one of my husband's bosses. He turned over all of his finances to a bookkeeper, and he didn't pay attention. She said, write a check. He wrote a check. She said, pay the bill. She paid the bill. Whatever it took. He didn't ask. He didn't think. He didn't look at his books. And then one day he went to the bank to do something and found out that his bank account was quite low. And he was like, what's going on? She had been embezzling money. So it's always good to be informed about your business and know what's happening in your business. So a couple of things that you could do there to do that is, it's so simple. Literally just take a pad of paper, keep it beside your desk, and start writing down the things that you're doing throughout the day. This helps you to keep a list of what's going on. And then you can take that list and look over it and say, okay, I see what it takes to run my business. And now if you're at that point where you're bringing somebody on, you have a good sense of what it takes. And then look at that list together and say, these are things I don't enjoy doing and I really don't want to be doing anymore. And that's what you hand over, right? It's really just that simple. So I always encourage, that's one of the first things, if I'm interviewing with somebody and they're unclear as to what they want to do with me or have me do for them, I send them off with homework, and I say, I want you for the next 24 to 48 hours to take a pad of paper, put it beside your desk or wherever it is that you're working, and just start taking notes of what it is that you do throughout the day. And then we'll meet back together and we'll go through that list together. And it always brings up some good, juicy things, always. Also, are there areas in your business where you would like to grow, but you can't because you're too tied to answering emails all day for customer service, or you're too busy, trying to figure out how to upload your podcast, or you're too busy trying to do a graphic for Instagram? Think about those things as well. Like, what are some areas where you're stifling your business because you're so bogged down in the doings of your business that you can't let that go to be able to focus on the revenue generating. I always call it the revenue generating aspect, which is any activity that it takes to generate revenue for your business. You want to be focusing as a business owner. That's your focus. Everything else you need to hand off to somebody else. And it's still generating revenue in a respect. It's not a direct generating revenue activity, but it's still important to the operation of your business. So those are just some things to think about whenever you're thinking about how your business runs. Just keep that pad of paper. It's the best tool. The other area I see a lot of business owners trip up in is being willing to let go. This is our baby. Your business is your baby. This is what you love. This is what you have been called to do. This is what you feel connected to. You have birthed this thing just like you would have birthed a child, and it's innate in you, and you're so tied to it, and you're so careful and nurturing of it. And I hear all too often, well, it's just easier if I just do it myself, than to try and tell somebody how to do it. And that's a lie from the pits. I mean, it really is. It really is, because it will trip you up. It will keep you stuck. You have to be willing to let those things go. And not only that, it's almost as if you're robbing somebody of their gift and their blessing if you don't allow them to come in and take those things over for you. And then you're not being the leader that God's calling you to be as a business owner if you don't allow them to take those things off your plate. So you have to be willing to let go of those things that really aren't the best use of your time. Another analogy I always say is, what is it costing you? Like, take your hourly rate and multiply it by how long it's taking you to do that task. And then if you go ask a VA to give you just an estimate of what it would take them, I guarantee you it's probably going to be half the time it would have taken you. And it's less money because they're not charging the same hourly rate that you are. I'll give you an example of this. It took me, we lived in another house that was larger. It took me about 3 hours to clean the house myself. And I sat down and I said, how long is 3 hours of my time at my rate? And then how much can I hire somebody to clean my house? And it was significantly less. And I was like, done hiring them. And I had a cleaning company come in and clean the house. It freed me up to be able to go focus on my business, to do some other revenue generating activities, work with my clients, get new clients, go networking, whatever it is that I needed to do. It freed me up. And somebody else was handling that detail, and they were operating in the gift that they were called to do. There are people out there, housekeepers, that they're called to what they're doing and they love what they do. And so I was glad that I was able to bless somebody, bless their business, and allow them to work in the gifts that they were called, and then allow me to work in the gifts that I'm being called to do. So, think about that as well when how much it's costing you when you're doing that task. We have to be willing to trust God in everything. And part of, letting go is allowing him to move. When he is always wanting to shift and stretch us, and the more that we are disassociate, or not disassociate, I don't want to use that word, but detach ourselves and stop being so attached and attach ourselves to him, the more that allows him to move and grow. So it's super, important to just allow him to do the work. After all, this is his business anyway. He's called us to do this. We're just the hands and feet for him. So we need to give him that space to move. Another thing that I see business owners doing is, understand change takes time and be flexible and open to it. And you've probably heard the saying, the ark wasn't built in one day, and it wasn't. Business will ebb and flow, and there'll be growth and there'll be rest periods. And so we just need to be flexible in our businesses and understand that it's going to take time. It's going to take time to onboard somebody. It's going to take time to bring somebody into business. There'll be time to train them. But then once they're trained, and that's done. And it's a kind of a one and done type thing. Now you've trained them, you've got a process, and it's duplicatable now. So being able to flex and move with our business. And also, anytime we implement something new, there's a transition period. There's going to be a period where we move from one direction to another. There'll be that little bit of transition, kind of like I was saying, how, last year we opened up the Kingdom VA school, and there's that transition for me. And there's this growth that I'm having to go through, and a whole nother mindset shift that I'm having to do that I thought that I had addressed, but it clearly hadn't. So there's that change. And like I was saying earlier, God's always up leveling and stretching us. So we need to be able to be flexible. And the last thing is, know your strengths and your weaknesses. This kind of goes back to documenting your tasks. So once you've documented all those tasks that you're doing throughout the day, kind of go through them. And just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should be doing it. And there's, God's equipped others in the body to take those things on, whether it's social media or bookkeeping or, general VA work or, e-commerce or customer service, whatever it is for your business. God's equipped somebody for that. And just allow them that opportunity to, utilize their gifts. And where God's designed us as the body, and we all have a part of the body that we are responsible for. But the body as a whole, when we come together, it makes up the whole body, and we support each other. And it's knowing your strengths and knowing which part of the body that you're moving, whether it's the finger or the elbow or whatever. It's important to know that, because if you're the elbow, you can't also be the toe. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and then when we focus on our part of the body that God's called us to, like I said, we allow God to minister to us by using others in the body to come alongside us, keep us operating, keep us from grinding, give us a place of grace, and support us in that way. Yeah.
Wow, you guys know now? I think I can just hand a mic to her and I can check out. You see how informative, how knowledgeable she is. So I just want to piggyback on a couple of things here.
Sure.
So, Angie gave us a lot of great tips here. If we kind of sum it up overall, one, I know some of you're listening to this, you kind of have a question pop up. It's, well, that sounds great, Angie, but from the beginning, if you are in your beginning stage of your business and then you say, okay, I maybe don't have that much cash, I will, do everything myself. And we get that. We totally get that. We all started from there. But I want to encourage you, if that's the case, you want to kind of reserve a percentage aside, and then, one of the most important thing Angie just shared is you really have to really clear about, what kind of the task are required for your business. So as you write those things down, and after a while, as you have more revenue coming, you right away can say, okay, look at those tasks. Those tasks, like either you don't like to do them or you are not very good at it. Okay. And then let me just kind of give a little kick here. It's, guys, I know as entrepreneurs, sometimes we think we can do everything. Okay. But which is not true. Okay. You have to put your ego aside to say, I'm okay with Photoshop, but I'm not really good at it, for example. And there are people out there are much better. Just like Angie said, you probably spend a whole lot less money compared with your hourly rate, and you can get somebody to do a best job. A lot of time that I remember that I will hire out in, let's say, Fiverr, those places, for example, to take the background away from my photo. $5. It's not possible you can beat that, right? Yeah, exactly. While I'm trying to front of the Photoshop and try to play around and try to get the background clean. It's just totally a bad stewardship example right there. It also reminds me that all Angie just said about inside in the kingdom, there are each single one of us wired with different gifting. I remember the book, the rabbi, I think Daniel. He said, thou shalt prosper, that book. And inside he said, in the Jewish community, that you won't find they mow their own lawn. Mm-hmm. He said that, they will hire a brother who has a lawn mowing company and hire them to do the lawn, not themselves, because and then if or somebody have a plumber, or they will not do themselves because the principle is they will hire the professional to do the job while they do their own job, which is what God called them to do. And in this way, everybody prospers.
Yeah.
So we really have to remember that. So Angie, what is when you say some common mistake that say, okay, now I hire my VA, right? And I see this so often that I made those mistakes in my early years, but I also see my clients as well. What are some, let's say, 3 common mistakes that they that you see that your clients make when they work with a VA?
Sure. So one of the first mistakes I see is that they don't build a relationship with a virtual assistant. Like I was saying earlier, that's something that I train. Now, to kind of talk a little, piggyback on what you were saying about, when you're starting out and you need support, by all means, find support wherever you can, whether it's Fiverr or Upwork or any place like that, where if you just need to get it done, get it done. In the long term, you want to start to build your team. And those places are a little bit harder to do that with because they're there for project base and that they're just to get the work done, to get it done. And that's great. And that's what you need. But eventually you want to build that relationship. And a lot of times I see a lot of business owners will bring in a virtual assistant and they just are tasking them and they don't build that relationship. And we really want to build that relationship because VAs, especially what I teach and what I was taught, I become a partner with my clients, not in the legal sense, but in the relationship sense. And I start to become an advocate for them in their business. So I'm always looking out for them. I'm strategizing with them. One of my favorite things that I do for my clients is become a sounding board for them, because you're an entrepreneur, you're starting a business, and you don't have the water cooler conversations like you did in a corporate job. And so you need that team to be that water cooler conversation for you so that you can start to brainstorm ideas, talk about things. I'll have clients come to me, and because I've been doing this for 19 years, I've seen, and I work specifically in the coaching industry, I've seen all the trends, I've seen all the things, I've seen all the softwares that were used over the years. And I can give them insight and say, hey, I know you want to start a membership site, but a membership site is going to be pretty involved. And unless you have this amount of a database, it might not be beneficial yet, but let's build it there. So I'm always offering insight and foresight like that for them so that they can make an informed decision and they're just not out there haphazardly doing something. So building that relationship is so important. Your VA can really just be an advocate for you and your business. Another thing is, like I was saying, you don't use your VA as a sounding board. That's a huge thing that I don't see a lot of people use. That they're, like I said, we're really great at talking things out and strategizing, and we listen so well. Like that's one of the things that VAs are great at, is we're great listeners. And we will just sit and listen to what you have to say. And in our brains, we're starting to problem solve too. So we're like thinking, okay, they're telling me all of this, and I'm also listening for stuff that clients aren't saying, And so I'm trying to, say, okay, what's that underlying thing? And start to really pick up on those nuances so that I can start to support you even better. So really use your VAs as a sounding board and not just as a task horse. The last thing is, and we talked about this in the other, when I talked earlier, is that hoarding tasks and not delegating. That's the other thing I see, is that scenario of, well, it's just quicker for me just to go do it real quick instead of telling somebody how to do it. That can really trip a business owner up. It's a big mistake that I see often, is not allowing, just taking a few minutes to document or just to share. And it could literally just be get on the phone with your VA and just share with them the process. Let them be responsible for documenting it. They may have a better way of doing it anyway. They may see how you're doing it and say, oh, well, I can actually automate this whole process and we don't even have to do it anymore. And you're like, oh, okay. So always be willing to share what it is that you're doing. You just never know. There's always going to be a better way to do something. So those are kind of the three areas where I see entrepreneurs making mistakes when they start working with a virtual assistant.
Yeah, that's so good. I think exactly, especially that last point, that a lot of time we just say, oh, but I need to stop what I'm doing and spend extra time to train my new VA and that type of thing. But well, that's a little seed to sow right now, but it will bring a great, great harvest for you, I remember those days I'm doing all my podcast production. Nowadays, we have I have a year and then a small team. The whole process, just you guys know, from beginning, if I invite guests, all the way to repurpose out in between, we have, I think I would say 50 something steps of the little things. And people say, what? 50 something steps? It's not just you guys hop on Zoom and talk. I say, no, it's not. It's a lot of work. And, if you're going to do all this yourself, you totally kind of suck my energy out to, I should have been doing a whole lot of other stuff, a whole lot more. Let's say if we put a monetary number on, right? It's a totally, again, a very best stewardship example right there. Yeah. Seriously, this is not just about, okay, for the sake of let's bless another people. Yes, that's important, but also really how you steward your own gifts. Yeah. And so then the other end also they can do themselves. And so then you can multiply For me, faithfulness, right? We all have to stand in front of Jesus one day and answer that question. And faithfulness is about, did you multiply? Remember that 3 servants, that story? Did you multiply, right? Remember that only one servant did not multiply, and what was the result for him, right? Yeah. Totally taken away. So, Angee, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show today. And tell us a little bit about where we can find you verbally. We surely will put all the links in the show note, because I'm sure that there are many people would like to work with your VA. Because my goodness, like a dream, right? I mean, it's a kingdom driven. My goodness, I know, right? And the other side also, maybe there are other people that actually they have the organizational skills. They have the very good administrative gifts. They want to learn about your school, and so they can go on. So tell us where we can find you.
Sure. So for the school, the Kingdom Virtual Assistant School, if you just go to kingdomva.com or kingdomvaschool.com, that'll take you to the school. There's information on there when we're starting. We're going to be opening up enrollment. Enrollment's open now, and we'll start in October for the first class. So you can check that out there. And there's an application, so you can fill it out. And I schedule a call with you just to make sure it's a good fit for you and that's what you want to pursue. So there's no obligation there, but we do an application process. And then if you want to work with a Kingdom Virtual Assistant, if you go to kingdomva.com, that is where you can go. You'll learn about what we're about. There's an application on there as well. And then I take that application personally. I review it. I look at our alumni and I match it up with those VAs that would be a good fit for you. I send it out to them. And then they would be in touch with you directly to schedule a call and interview with you. And they'll do an interview process with you as well and get to know you and what your needs are. And then you'll be able to make a decision there as to whether you want to continue on with one.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Angee, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kelly. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done so yet, please hit the bell and also the subscription button so you will not miss another valuable video to help you to grow your Christ-centered business. And please share the videos with your friends so we can help more Christian entrepreneurs to rise up in the marketplace.